Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question today from Kayla Mom Boss, who asked us, "Hi Vince, can you make a video on worker misclassification? I work in the gig economy as an independent contractor who also hires subcontractors. New York, Florida, Georgia, and California. The company I partner with controls every aspect of me and my subcontractors. Can can a company be misclassified?" Well, an employee can be misclassified, right? So, like, I guess the answer is yes. A company can be misclassified because a lot of employers will say, "Hey, if you're going to work here as an independent contractor, you got to form your own corporation, and we'll just pay your corporation." And that is not a perfect defense against misclassification. That's just something they're trying to do to add a little bit of shoring up their defense against a misclassification claim. So, yeah, I mean, a company can be misclassified, I guess, theoretically, but it comes down to the individual. And so let's give a quick definition of what we're talking about first, and then we'll kind of get into the test itself. So, first and foremost, I should say we do not handle misclassification claims outside of like New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, and New Hampshire. It's just not something we do. It's very limited. We handle, workplace discrimination, workplace sexual harassment cases in all 50 states. But in terms of misclassification, we keep that to about 4 states, maybe 5. But let's get into defining what a misclassification claim would be. So essentially, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, there's this idea that every employee should receive time and a half overtime if they work more than 40 hours. There's also some other benefits tied to this, right? There's also an exception where if someone's an independent contractor, they're not subject to the rules of the FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act. They're running their own business, and they can cut whatever deals they want to with an employer. And the government says, well, we're not going to substitute our judgment for your good judgment as a business owner. It is what it is, right? So, fine, that's fair enough. But that creates a tension because employers will often run around hiring a bunch of subcontractors and then treat them just like employees. So it's just people who act and behave like employees and are treated like employees but don't get overtime and other benefits. Dicey. Real questionable, right? And then the law gets mad about it and they say, well, we think this person's an employee. And over the years, the Federal Department of Labor, the courts have kind of hashed this out and come up with a test as to if you're misclassified or not, right? If you're misclassified as an independent contractor, it means your employer's calling you an independent contractor, but you're actually an employee, and you should be receiving time and a half overtime for hours worked over 40 in a 7-day period. Pause here, because we're talking about the federal laws purely. The laws of a variety of states, some of which you listed in this question, differ significantly. California basically is just like at war with the gig economy. We have videos on this channel about some of the laws they promulgated. And it's something where like the Writers Guild of America, currently going on strike, right? They opposed California's laws. Like the Truckers Association or whatever that organization is called, they staunchly opposed California's laws. Like California did some wild things, and they did it for nice reasons. They wanted to, protect people from being misclassified and get them the protections of being an employee. But they also potentially overstepped and did things that could wipe out large swaths of people who actually want to work as independent contractors because they want control of their life and their business and things of that nature, right? So can't advise you about the state laws of any of those states except New York, and I'm not going to do it here for New York because I think other people have done it better. And we talk about the federal laws here primarily. So let's get into the misclassification test. When I share this information with you, I am speaking in generalities, right? These are things to think about. I'm not stating bright line rules to you, right? I'm being very, very casual with my language, trying to present it in a way that gives you a rough working structure of the test and the ideas encompassed in that test and like what you're thinking about. But don't use this to litigate a case, right? This is a conversation about a test that tens of thousands of people have worked on, right? And there's different case law, there's different versions of the statute, there's different laws being promulgated, there's procedural guidance coming out from agencies. Like, there's a lot going on here. There's the Biden administration issuing in 2022 their thoughts on how things should be going. Like, there's a lot going on. So I'm not presenting to you, whenever you're watching this video, whatever the bright line rule is, when and where you are. That's not what this video is. You need to do the actual research, or probably what I would suggest is hire an attorney who does this, right? What I'm giving you is a rough structure of some things that in 2023 people thought about when they were trying to figure out if they were properly classified as an independent contractor or if they should have been classified as an employee and received overtime, among other things. Okay? That might be unsatisfying. Okay, you get what you pay for. It's free, right? Like, come on. What are we doing? If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's easy. All right, let's go. First and foremost, here's generally what you should be thinking about here. The Federal Department of Labor's final rule, not in any way final, about independent contractor status under the FLSA emphasized two core factors, specifically when determining if someone is an independent contractor or an employee. What is the level of the worker's control over the individual's work? And two, the person's opportunity for profit or loss. Right? Now, those are some statements. And if you think about them, you might say to yourself, that's not very clear. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. So they go on, and I'm actually reading a little bit here from, I'll link it down below. It's SHRM, their website. Attorney Alan Smith. Well, actually, I don't know if he's an attorney. Alan Smith, JD. So maybe he's not an attorney. Maybe he's not admitted. So it's Alan Smith Juris Doctorate, which just means you went to law school and you passed the base level of law school. Generally, you would not list yourself as a JD if you were admitted as an attorney. I don't know if that's what Alan Smith is doing. I can't say, but I digress. So Alan Smith in his article goes on to say, if these factors are not clear, the rule includes 3 guidepost factors. Oh, the guidepost. Thank you. Number one, the amount of specialized skill required for the work that the potential employer does not provide. 2, the degree of permanence of the working relationship, focusing on the continuity and duration of the relationship and weighing toward independent contractor status if the relationship is definite in duration or sporadic, right? So they're saying if you work, on and off or for short periods of time, or like it's a short relationship, that's generally going to mean you're probably an independent contractor. And 3, whether the work performed is part of an integrated unit of production. So you heard that test, and some of you are probably saying, yeah, I can litigate this now. I feel good about this. But most of you are probably saying, the what now? Ha? What? Right? Like, it's, there's reasons people make livings on this stuff. I'm going to give you 6 other factors that have been meaningful in this test and in this industry for a while. And again, these are just things to think about, kind of a working structure of some thoughts, how people have looked at these tests. And when you think about these factors and the factors we just read, think about them as a totality of the circumstance, right? You're taking all the factors into account and arriving at a conclusion based on all of them, the totality of these factors. So 6 additional factors. The opportunity for profit or loss depending on managerial skill. We talked about that to an extent, right? Like, that's essentially like if you're running a business, you could make money, you could lose money. Most businesses, I think, lose money, right? So employees, though, generally don't lose money in their employment, at least hopefully not. That's going to mean if you can, make money or lose money, there's a good chance you're an independent contractor. 2, the investments by the worker and the employer. So if the person doing labor has investments in their business, that is generally going to mean that they're probably an independent contractor with their own business, right? I'll give you an example. If you are a submarine technician working for a billionaire, recently working for a billionaire who's now at the bottom of a trench. If you're watching this in not 2023, in 2023, a billionaire made a submarine that was not a very good submarine, and then took a bunch of his wealthy buddies down to look at the Titanic. And because the submarine was a junk and worked on a Xbox controller, it imploded under the pressure of the ocean, and they all died. And then everybody thought that we were searching for them for a couple of days, even though it seems pretty clear that the Coast Guard was well aware they died almost instantly in an implosion. I don't make the news, nor do I report it. I'm just giving you context for why that joke probably didn't kill in 2023 and definitely doesn't whenever you're watching this. All right. Oh, yeah. So you're the sub technician. You buy your own tools. You buy the best sub tools, all the best tools. And the billionaire says, hey, can you come work on my sub with all your cool tools? Good chance you're an independent contractor, right? Conversely, let's say employer hires a bunch of sub technicians and then buys all the tools for them, and the tools stay, at the workplace, and the employer has control of those tools because the employer bought those tools. Votes go for employee on that one. Number 3, the degree of permanence of the work relationship. We already discussed this to some extent. The nature and degree of control. So this is stated better, I think, in this particular restatement of the factors. If you, let's say you're like hiring cleaning people. You got an Airbnb. You got a whole bunch of Airbnbs and you're hiring cleaning people, and you're like, hey, I need my Airbnbs cleaned. If the person who does the cleaning comes to you and says, yeah, we could work out a contract. We generally do that at night. On nights, we do it like Monday, Tuesday nights, because those are the nights least likely for an Airbnb to be rented. And you can hire us, and here's our fee quote for that if you want to hire us. But that person hiring the cleaning crew has a relatively low amount of control, right? The person doing the cleaning stated a lot of those terms, and they're like, yeah, we're going to come in, we're going to bring our own tools, we're going to do it between such and such hours, take it or leave it, and like we don't do windows. If an employee said that to an employer, the employer would say, you're going to do what I fucking tell you, right? Like, always with the F-bombs. What am I doing? But if an independent, like a real true business is like, hey, here's the terms, you can take it or leave it as somebody who's hiring that service. And that is indicative of an independent contractor status. Number 5, factor 5, the extent to which the work performed is an integral part of the employer's business. So if you run sub tours and you need to always have sub technicians on hand to service your subs so they can kill more billionaires, that's integral, right? You need that sub technician. You can't run that sub every day if you don't have a sub mechanic / technician working on the sub being like, yes, this will definitely kill billionaires, right? And that then, if that person is required, they're integral to the whole process. It's a vote towards employee status. And all of these are just kind of nudges one way or the other, right? None of these are in and of themselves indicative of employee or independent contractor status. And number 6, the skill and initiative of the workers. So if you're hiring an architect, you're like, I need an entirely glass house in the middle of New Hampshire, but I need you to make an entirely glass house fused with a log cabin design. And I need it to be a 6-story log cabin tower. Well, that architect's probably going to have a lot of skill and a lot of depth of knowledge, and a lot of education, and a lot of experience working with those materials. There's a lot going on there. And that architect's going to experience, take a lot of initiative here. Like they're going to say, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to make a lot of decisions in the course of getting you this proposed plan for your log cabin tower. This is a weird, hyper-specific example. Maybe I like log cabin towers. Lots of glass in them. Heavily insulated glass. That architect's going to have a lot of initiative, a lot of skill, and that's going to be indicative, generally speaking, of an independent contractor status. Whereas if you were like, hey, this architect made me plans for my log cabin tower, and you're pretty good with CAD, and I need you to hand redraw these with, some notes and this and that, and you need to work, these hours. That's less skill, that's less initiative. CAD, I'm not saying drawing AutoCAD or CAD is, not skilled, but it's a different level of skill than an architect, probably. I think everyone would agree. And that might be more indicative of an employee. Okay? Now, cannot stress enough. This video is a conversation about a topic and nothing more. It's not legal advice. You should not use this as legal advice. You should do your own research or realistically hire an attorney to represent you in this matter. But it might be useful as a conversation about whether or not you think it's worth calling an attorney, right? I mean, that's valuable. If you think you might have a misclassification and you look at these factors and you say, yeah, I think if you look at the factors, a lot of them reflect that I might have a misclassification claim. Great. Call 3 to 5 attorneys, get free consultations, get her done. Let's make it go. Like that's a claim. Let's potentially see if attorneys agree and get you some money, right? But this is a long video. I'm going to call it quits because I'm going on 20 minutes. If this was helpful, like, comment, subscribe. Doing so helps me to help more people just like you. Also, if you have follow-up questions on this, feel free to hit the comments down below and I'll see what I can do. I'm going to post a couple of links in the doobie-doo down below as well, so you can, edify yourself with further knowledge, greater minds than my own. Remember, everybody works. Almost everybody works. Not everybody wins. Be smart out there.